山林气四散，谁开路最炼仙丹？大道长生多艰险，
电光闪，红卷残云霄闪电，天界有何难？
杜云端，春花秋月过烟云，烟线般再别知何年？红颜白发见情难，
心经满，淬火重生金丹炼，星河蓝纵横三界浩瀚，前尘尽散。
江湖年少不痴狂
80岁上，放肆笑一场，
茶馆天生共40两，
上路18掌，
戏如痴如狂。天下谁人不是仙人道场？背起了我的行囊眺望，远离故乡。外门弟子劈柴挑水匆忙，仙灯只能给万里长长，可只能给天一趟。天下谁人不是仙人道场？长生有大道苍苍茫茫，指向何方？披荆斩棘我被长风破浪，乘风我一剑破开天，雷鸣苍穹神震百里。天道破轮回张狂，
天地墙，光华一闪，灵气四散，谁开路淬炼仙丹？大道长生多艰险，
电光闪，红卷残云霄闪电，天界有何难？
杜云端，春花秋月过烟云，烟线泛再别知何年？红颜白发见情难，
心经满，淬火重生金丹炼，星河蓝纵横三界浩瀚，前尘尽散。
江湖年少不痴狂，80岁以上，放肆笑一场。茶馆听说喜则大荒，仙不18掌，
戏如痴如狂。天下谁人不是仙人道场？念符咒说尽广博阵芒，机关难挡。内门弟子辛苦又能怎样？掌门修炼给资源正常，圣门徒都遭殃。天下谁人不是仙人道场？长生有大道苍苍茫茫，坚定信仰。披荆斩棘我被长风破浪，乘风我御剑破开天，雷鸣苍穹神震百里。天道破轮回张狂。
What the fuck is this? Hello everyone, my name is Notepad and I write games for fun. Why'd you vote like this? I just want that answer. Why'd you all vote for this? Why? Why are you doing this to me? What did I ever do to you? And why do I now have to write God-Killing Swords, a high-powered cosmic fantasy with wuxia elements, but it's not wuxia, it's more Jana? The other one. Why are you doing this to me? Why are you the way that you are? And why did I even put it on the list? That's my question. Why did I even put it on the list? I know, because I hate myself. But don't worry, we're in this together, you and I. So what is God-Killing Swords? Like, let's just take a step back. What are we actually doing with this game? Well, that's really it. Give me 1 second. I just need to put this on the list here. If I can actually... Swords, and technically, I'm going to just call it Hell Jumpers for now. That name will change. I don't really know a good name for that one. But God-Killing Swords is a game about giant cosmic fantasy death of reality tier shit. Effectively, what people want is, let me do Solomon David here. They want everyone wants to play Solomon David, and that's cool and all. The problem is, how do you balance this? How do you truly balance, or even begin to make perfect kill total life obliteration on the table? Now, Tom himself has attempted, and failed, trying to adapt his own property to the table. Broken Worlds is terrible. It's a very bog standard game. Nothing really too exciting about it. But ultimately, this is going to be my attempt to do that. And if you notice the Chinese music, effectively what we're going to be trying to, how do I want to word this, emulate, in a way, is, let's see if I can actually pronounce this correctly, yeah, Jean-Jacques? I don't even, no, I don't want to support Wikipedia. Go away. So, the entire idea behind this is that you are trying to, like, cultivate power, and you're already, like, super powerful, and everyone's super cool and awesome, and you're just really super strong for super strong reasons. And it's like, alright, Pog, alright, we can make this work. Okay, alright. Help. Why? Why are we here? Just to suffer? So today is going to be my attempt, anyway, at trying to come up with something, anything really at this point, because right now I am working with dust. And I asked people, I asked around. I'm going to try to open my coffee here real fast. This is the first time in like 2-3 months I've seen a goddamn little Dunkin' Donuts frozen coffee in the store. So I'm like, I'm going to get this, and it's Thin Mint's flavored. Usually I don't like mint, but it's pretty good. Ah, delicious. How do you even start with something like this? How do you even scale things properly? And the answer is you don't. Because ultimately you could say the genre we're going for is going to be called a power drama. This was actually coined by the person who wanted me to undertake this project. Which the entire idea is, it's more about the consequences of power than martial arts bullshit. But we still want this to be a part of it. We still want that martial aspect to do it. And Miro changed their... Miro, why? Why did you change your buttons? Usually I could just use... Usually you can just set it to do this automatically, and you'd have to click here. But apparently they made this toggle now. This is just default, which is somewhat annoying. But how do you even do something like this? So, let's see. Consequences of power than martial arts bullshit. Now, one game I was actually going to derive a little bit from is going to be Dominions 5. Now, Dominions is actually a very fascinating game, as the entire thing about Dominions is that you're playing gods. You are so much more powerful than most people. And the entire thing, the entire war, and the entire game is about the consequences of your hubris, effectively. How much do you extend it? How much of your own men do you throw away willy-nilly in these gigantic death wars against one another? And that's arguably the sadness. The sadness part, and the, brutality of it. How do you select your various gods, and from there, how do you end up assessing how they work? How do you build, and how do you destroy? Except everybody is that, except people don't want that. They want Solomon David. They want to LARP as the Demiurges from... Yeah, this is who they want to LARP as. They want to LARP as the Demiurges from Kill 6 Billion Demons. Which, Cool. That's interesting because they have some personality. They have some, I did my long rant about it, but like these guys are the main, drivers of the plot and drivers of the, everything remotely important in that setting outside of the main character. But we can do a very long rant about that, which I already did. Go watch that video when I bother getting it uploaded. Give me 1 second. So, let's see. Because one of the big things, too, is that Jean doesn't actually have... yeah, there isn't really anything there, which is kind of one of its issues. Like, there's nothing really to base this off of. Fantasy elements, Xenogears, kind of in the opening video. It's like It's like, oh boy, here's Jade Empire. Yeah, this is gonna be useful. Like, let's see. Technically, we'd be using a Juan Han. Like, this is what we'll be using. Yeah, technically, actually, I should call this a, let me see, it would be a, and actually, we want to do Juan Han. Because what this guy effectively said, that he wanted something that was more than Gachamuchi. Feng Shui. Feng Shui gets mentioned a bit. Chin. Lone Wolf's Fists. Yeah, it's actually kind of hard to actually find... Actually, you know what? So I looked at, like, just powerful games. Games with really high power. And the answer is, there just isn't that many. There just isn't. There just is not as many games using higher powered entities at all, outside of things like Noblesse. And it was like, oh boy, Noblesse. Yay. Literally the entire game, rules. Yeah, we're going through this one soon. Pay what you want. Rules for Wuxia Heroes, Profound Masters. DBZ, Crouching Titan. Hero Quest, would that work? Maybe Hero Quest would work. Monkey the role-playing game count? What the hell is this? Folk religion. Yeah, okay. That's... Oh, well. Things I didn't know we'd find today. Whatever the hell this is. But alright. B101 games. See, this is what it means by, like, let's go on a magic adventure and see what we can find. And the answer usually is that you can't find much. What? Yeah, Legends of the Hero. Ogre Gate is usually sort of specific style combat mattering. To win over someone less spiritually attainment, regardless of which styles they studied. Subject comes up in that regard, exalted is actually closer. So exalted. So let's think. Oh, and people are bitching about Exalted again. Wow, it's a fucking speed run. Should turn up the music, because this is literally just going to be me, like... Give me 1 second. Let's see. Effectively what he's asking here in this Discord chat of mine, like, is language important? And the answer is, it is, if it is important. We are visiting a foreign nation. Let's see. Exalt, blunt fire. Okay. Cool. So, I need to think. What we're looking for... What we're looking for at the end of the day is a game that is going to be almost entirely based around characters who are insanely powerful, because they are insanely powerful. You've hit kind of peak. You've peaked, in a way. And that peak is important, because that pretty much means you aren't really going to get any better, but you aren't really going to get any worse. You have achieved perfection, and what you can do at this point is pretty much desperately try to get a one-up on people. And that's where the drama comes in. It's, I am the ultimate, I have mastered the seven fists of God technique, and pretty much if I, like, poke someone who is below my power level of infinite +1, they're going to just get evaporated, because, I'm just that powerful. At that point, fighting doesn't really mean anything to you, because you're going to win. What it comes down to is, how better can you win? And why can you win? Well, I did use this game like this before. And I've been thinking about it for a while now. Now, this is going to be a weird one. This is going to be the unfun weird part. And it would be a lot of work to do. But if it does work out, I should be able to make it sing. Now, what is that? What? He's being stupid again. Give me 1 second. I need... You can't calculate fun, folks. Always remember that. Fun is derived entirely from Chaos Brain. And Chaos Brain doesn't give a fuck what you think. No matter what your design is, no matter what you think of, your Chaos Brain will dictate what it means. And that's the big thing with fun. fun isn't really something that you can manage. You can't just say, you're going to have more fun doing this than if you're not doing this. You can't just say, all right, I've put in X, Y, and Z. We now have more fun doing this. It's not how it works. You can appeal to the other brains, mind you, and you can appeal to other people's way of thinking. My friend loves doing math stuff. He loves doing kind of more analytical things. I'm going to now focus on that for him. My other friend doesn't give a shit. He likes to be a thespian. He likes to act. He likes to be big. He likes to be, really into the story. So I'm going to give him that. That's what he finds fun. The other one doesn't find that very fun at all. That's the point. So don't try to, calculate fun for people. It doesn't work. It's never worked. But speaking about fun, let me see. We're going to do something a little bit weird because I do have a game for this. And it is going to be an odd one. Where are you? It's time to wake up, my darling. It's been a while, hasn't it? For those who don't remember, this is Fate Lonely Dance. Let me see. And Washburn yet again completely fails to fucking understand the most basic principles of understanding. My God. So, this is Fate Lonely Dance. Fate Lonely Dance is a game about fate. Fate is a weird setting, for those who don't know. I can do an entire rant on fate. I should do that one of these days, actually. I should just do every now and again, I should just do a Notepad talks about something stream, where I just talk about things I enjoy. And I enjoy Fate, but I also acknowledge Fate's fucking stupid. Fate's really fucking stupid. Oh God, have people been editing this? Oh God, people have... What? No, please don't. Please don't touch these. Oh, God almighty. Okay, let's put you down below. Put you up a bit. Okay. Oh yeah, I'm reminded that this is absolutely terrible. Okay, let's put you there. Rider die. Rider die. That's all I gotta say there. We're gonna put Rider up here. Yeah. Now, why do I like Fate? Fate was, like, the entire reason I wrote this wasn't because, like, man, Fate's truly the best, Fate deserves a game. No, Fate doesn't deserve a game. It's not actually that good when it comes to tabletop gaming. For a very large plethora of reasons. The most notable of which is it's just not really suited for it. Now, why did I make this? Because someone was asking about it. Now, why am I bringing this up now? Well, one of the big things about this game in particular, Fate Lonely Dance, is the servants are so powerful. They are so strong and so impossible to even comprehend in some cases, that how do you balance that versus a regular person, because you can have to play both, and it's that inherent drama of power, and it's the power dynamic. Yes, the servant can obliterate you and everything you hold dear, however, their master doesn't want them to, so they're not going to. That's its own kind of idea of power drama. What I was thinking of doing, taking this and playing with it a little bit. Now, this game is technically based off another game called Amber Diceless. Now, Amber Diceless is a really cool game based off the Amber books. Amber Diceless is also insane. Because the main thing, relationship role-playing, the most role-playing games in that era. Two ruling clans, Amber Multiverse. Ooh. And pretty much the entire idea with Amber is that you are so powerful that a regular person can't really compete. However, since everyone's roughly on it, even little minute advantages mean a lot. For example, if you have a rank strength, you are way more powerful than just about anybody else. But if someone has S rank, A plus rank strength, you physically cannot defeat them. It is an impossibility for you to defeat them. Not by random chance, not by fate, not by luck. It is literally going to be next to impossible for you to defeat them because they're just that little bit stronger than you. But someone who is, C rank strength, well, you're going to be able to crush them into the goddamn dirt where they belong because they are weaker than you. They are below you in strength, just a little bit. Can these guys still obliterate people? Yes. So, why don't we take this idea, go a little bit more. I'm going to have to reread all of Amber Diceless for this, because the one thing with Fate Lonely Dance, what I had to do a little bit was manage things, because I had to give people a reason to do things, why things occurred and how they occurred, to give you just minute advantages where you could. And you have to calculate things out. How much does, what does power actually do? What do these things actually do? Well, in a fight, this is what you actually contribute to it, because you don't have a traditional, you don't roll 5d6 to roll something. No, you have an A rank in something, you're going to contribute that much to it. Or if you have an A rank versus someone who has a, B rank, how long does it take you to actually defeat them? That's kind of the point. So what I would need to do Hello, phone. This would be a weird one. Do I actually have the basic? Do I have the basic version in the lexicon? Lexicon, give me Notepad Diceless. Notepad OVA, Notepad D20. Diceless. Do I have Diceless? I could have swore I had Diceless in here. Diceless character creation. There we go. Play around with this aspect a little bit more. Expand things out. Okay. I'm getting a phone call. That's concerning. I love my mom to death, even though she is the kind of person who's like, I'm going to desperately attempt to put something together and fail miserably. Hello, pig. This is what occurred. I got... Democracy occurred, and democracy demanded this. God-killing swords, a game of high-powered cosmic fantasy with technically it should be Zhuang Han elements. What does that mean? It means everybody wants to LARP, everyone wants to play Kill 6 Billion Demons. So, I said, okay, this shouldn't be too difficult, and the answer to that was I was wrong. Because, holy shit, this is way too high powered. So, because we're doing so high powered things, we have to think about a little bit out of the box. Now, one of the problems is, how do you calculate, it's like, how do you calculate strength? Now, in a normal game, say D&D, strength has a score of, 3 to 18. If I have a strength of 3, I have a negative X I think it's negative 5 modifier. If I have an 18, I have a plus 3 modifier. Alright, that's pretty average. If I hit you with my sword, I'm going to do plus 3 damage to it because I'm just that strong. Cool. In this case, the lowest denominator of strength is when I tap you, you only mostly evaporate. And if you are top tier, I look at you and you evaporate. That is the kind of power levels people want in this. So it's like, alright, how do we manage this? How do we make things higher power in a game about power drama? How do we make this work? And the answer is, we're going diceless. Because fuck this dice shit. We literally cannot afford to use it. There's just not enough resources available to me to actually make it work. So what we're going to be doing is, let me see, Zhuang Han elements, and which, this is different. Zhenjianjia, Zhuang Han is like putting in other elements other than just traditional Chinese ones. Very weird. Didn't know about that one. That's a thing now, because there is a Zhenjianjia game out there. I guess fuck me. That's just not a thing. So, let me see. So, system has to accommodate large characters in large situations. Now, one of the things is, what I should actually say is, this is going to be Notepad diceless. Now, the only game that I've actually used this system with, this method to the madness, was actually a Fate game. Yes, Fate Lonely Dance, which is a game set in the Fate universe. And it is about exactly what you think it is. It's about fate and all the associated problems of it. Is fate interesting to deal with? Yes. Do I regret writing this game? Yes. But we're going to be doing what we can do about it. So we need to do that. We're going to need to heavily expand on Notepad dice list. Like, just overall, we're going to expand heavily. Dice list, mostly because we have to start using things from Amber. Because Amber dice list is like the OG overpowered bullshit game. And it's fantastic, and I'm surprised nobody actually commented when I was asking people for, like, hey, give me some super-powered RPGs. Nobody actually commented Amber Dice List, even though I got like 3 people saying Exalted or Godbound when I explicitly said, don't bring me Exalted or Godbound. Because people can't read. His or her family, a factor which leads much suspicion and intrigue. Yeah, because this one has, like, higher score relevant edge will eventually win. Is fair and eventually. Like, you have to get an advantage in these ones. And that's, I think, what we can actually use to... We're going to abuse this a little bit. Because we need to make this as high-powered as physically possible. Yeah, this one is different rule from Merlin novels. Broken. I'll have to reference that quite a bit. Because if we're using this, because we need to expand heavily on the Notepad dice list system, which does bring me to this note over here. in my notes, in the things Notepad actually wants to do, I got another idea. This one's a little bit older, and that idea is 1,000 Lotus Blades. And 1,000 Lotus Blades is all about, well, it's a wuxia game. Or 100 Lotus Blades, I should say. I should change that to make sure so I don't mess it up later. Now, what is 100 Lotus Blades about? Well, I wrote it because I fucking hate Icon. Like, the new Icon by the guy who did Lancer, but not the guy who did Lancer, because the guy who did Lancer now works at Wizards of the Coast. But the other guy who did Lancer. I read Icon and I hated it. I despised that game. But I like the idea behind it, so I'm gonna say, okay, I'm gonna make pretty much a wuxia game on this. And that's what it's going to be. And what I indirectly realized, as I was setting the stream up, unfortunately, is whoop. So, if we do this idea, what we can effectively say is 100 Lotus Blades is the wuxia to god-killing swords, Zhuan Huan. If you haven't noticed, I don't actually speak Chinese. Even though I would kind of like... I kind of learned a little bit of Chinese. Like, I know some of the basics. Like, pretty much we can say this is the sequel to... God-Killing Swords is the sequel to this, and we can actually use the same setting between them, which is going to be very helpful later on if I actually decide to write the setting. Which I don't usually, because settings scare me. But we use this so we can expand on the dice list system a little bit more. We will need to put in power, domain. We need to add in a lot of exterior mechanics. Those exterior mechanics are mostly going to be derived from things such as, if I put it right here, things like domain management. Little advantages and things like that you can get a leg up on your opponents. Like, yeah, don't worry, I've mastered the thousand god dick punching technique. If I'm gonna punch you in your dick, I'm gonna get an advantage on it, and every little advantage is helpful in this kind of situation. So we can make that work. So I think God Killing Swords is in a decent place, because if I'm looking at this correctly, this will be one of the first, if not effectively. Yeah, this is going to be like a dedicated, like, Jean Jin game, or Jean Juan, technically, which is going to be one of the first, because there just isn't really anything here, and I would like to actually see more of these, because there is technically a Chinese scene for tabletop games. Do I know what that tabletop scene looks like? Yes. It is literally a single convention hosted every year at a single place, which goes over board games. I'm interested where. Well, we can do it actually. Actually, what we can do is martial adventure. And this is literally going to be martial arts bullshit taken to 11. Pretty much, this is going to be crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, the game. Will it use the same system? Absolutely not. But in an ideal world, what we'd be able to do with this is, transfer your 100 Lotus Blades character to God Killing Swords, because I think that would be kind of funny or kind of interesting, being like, hey, you've hit pretty much max power in this one, let's transfer yourself over to the I'm an immortal, so fuck you. So, okay, so we can work with that. Yeah. You know what? I think that works pretty decently. It's going to be a little bit weird, but I think we can make it work. All right. So let's go on a magic quest here real fast. Wonder what? Yeah, we're in VT right now. I'm curious what WVT is talking about. People have been posting rats all day. It's great. Jesus. So yeah, this is the new thing on WVT. Everyone posts all their 3x3s. It's like, wow, good job. You play video games. Video games. So, okay, the next big one is actually Hell Jumpers that we're going to be working on a little bit. And Hell Jumpers is a lot less, we'll say dramatic. Or Hell Divers, Hell Jumpers. Yeah, I don't really have a name for this one if you haven't quite got the impression on that. I really don't even have a theme behind it. The only major thing is that it's going to be a horde mode TTRPG, which is all going to be about many enemies, few of you. And let's see. I want to keep you right there. We want to keep you right there. One thing I already know is that characters are going to need to have a... Actually, how do I want to word this? It's pretty much one of the ideas with this game, and with a lot of these kind of games. Like, take Left 4 Dead, for example. Left 4 Dead, you are not fragile in Left 4 Dead. Like, you don't get swarmed by, like, 2 zombies and you're dead, kind of thing. No, you can take a beating in those games. It's just that after a certain point, you become more fragile. it's there comes kind of this breaking point where it's like, okay, we're feeling good, and then like we're not feeling good, and that desperation kind of kicks in, and I need to mimic that. Hence why I was thinking about going with a power armor kind of game, just to mimic the idea of I have like let's just say we have our desperation mechanic, which is, let's say I have a 250 point, 250, we'll call it hull point or whatever, HP, suit on. I'm feeling pretty good about that, but when I hit 0 HP on my suit, I'm exposed and I'm going to die. Like, you're just going to die most likely if you get if your suit gets destroyed or wrecked or something goes wrong. So that's what we need to mimic. So pretty much like horde mode games, one thing is players, we'll call them just like survivors or something, because I know Left 4 Dead better than most others. I know Left 4 Dead and I know Killing Floor. Those are what the two games this is going to be based on. I use survivor/fighters are durable, but few. That's one of the key things, is that there are 50 of them to one of you. And if you have 4 of them, how do 4 people deal with a swarm of 100 enemies? You gun them down because you have more ammunition, you have more bullets, you have more gun, you have more firepower. It's, enemies are numerous but fragile. You're going to cut these guys down pretty quickly. Now, actually, if we go to franchise games, the only game I've actually know about that handles this at all, in any remote capacity, is the Starship Troopers game, which we will go over one day. Rest assured, everybody, we are going to go over the Starship Troopers game. This one's actually really fascinating. But if you want me to be honest, I need to rewatch the entire series. Yeah, I need to rewatch the entire thing on Starship Troopers. But one of the entire ideas behind this game is that you are fairly fragile, but you have firepower, you have squads, you have abilities to do things and combat the enemy. That's the point. And if we go here, where was it? If I remember correctly, is like your damage is no, there's I can't, was this the one? Might have been one of the older ones. Because like one of the things with this game was, or at least a Starship Troopers game, if it's not this one, this might actually be a different one, to be honest. We're still going to go over this one. This one's kind of interesting in its own right. But, wait a fucking second. Is this a D20 game? Alright, wait a second. I think I got the wrong Starship Troopers RPG. Oh no! Oh no! Wait a fucking second. Wait a second. Oh no. Oh no. This is a D20 system, isn't it? One or more friends. Actually, when did this come out? Wait a second. This is called The Adventure with Notepad, where he goes on a magic adventure. This is 2005. Character creation detailing the mechanics, assigning dice to abilities, and fancy character. Yeah, this is OGC. Is this OGL? Yeah, it's OGL. The fuck? Wait a second. Starship Troopers. Tabletop game. There we go. This is an older one. There's the miniatures game. Game, board game, pinball, Terran Ascendancy, video game, the role-playing game. Yeah, this is it. Huh. What was that other one? Oh, this must have occurred. It's in the process of being redone using the rule set from Travel Role, feature previous revealed races plus new ones. Mongoose license and not be released on the new license. So it looks like they got fucked a little bit. Okay. Now, well, one of the core ideas behind this game is that when you're fighting the arachnids, technically, you deal damage to the horde. You count them as a single entity. And we're going to play with that a little bit. Because I think that sounds interesting. Because horde mode games are fascinating. And I really like them. And I want to replicate those kinds of games to a certain degree. That or we just played the Dallas RPG. Yeah, don't worry. Soon, Dallas, you will become the ultimate game. Yeah. I got a few games set up that I'm looking forward to. Let's see. Mongoose. Why is it Mongoose? Why did they say something else then? Huh. Weird. Learn something new every day, everybody. But the core idea is you're numerous but fragile. Players can easily kill enemies. Enemies can easily overwhelm players. Now, what does this mean? What's the difference here? It's an individual enemy isn't going to be a problem in these kind of games. Me taking my gun, blasting a zombie in the head, not a problem. I can do that all day, every day. However, if you fail to really thin the horde out, or you fail to do things, so it's like establish things like choke points, or moments where you're allowed to kind of move a little bit, a little bit more claustrophobic, and you'll mitigate that advantage, they're going to overwhelm you. There's just going to be more of them than you. And your ammo will not last if you try to do that. Because in things like Left 4 Dead, for example, Left 4 Dead, you're not scared of the individual fighter. You're scared of getting thrown into a mass horde of them and having them rip you to shreds. Individually, not scary. Together, strong. A bundle of sticks. They're not going to break that easily. So, let's see. Players are durable but few. Enemies numerous. Are aggressive. Let's see, weapons are aggressive, if I can actually fucking spell. Numerous, so pretty much we need bigger weapons for this. So, okay, here's what we're going to do. So, we're going to need, I'm going to call it the desperation mechanic. And we're going to probably tie it to, see, one of the issues is that I don't have a theme really for this game yet. If I have a theme, I'd be able to work with it a little bit more, but I really don't. And that's why I like streaming these things, so you guys can give me a theme. Give me a theme, please. I'm begging you. But I'll probably ask the consortium after this, being like, what do you want to see from this? But that desperation mechanic also kind of plays into, and like, savior mechanics as well. Oh no, Bill has been overwhelmed by zombies, he's on his ass, blast him away, get him his ass back up. Oh no, he's injured, like, oh no, he's over there and he's getting the shit beat out of him, get a medic over there and heal him. You always have a savior mechanic in these games. You have the advantage of being able to avoid or mitigate a fuck up. Usually it's, mission is not actually. usually instead of kill all enemies, it's instead like get to location, deliver X, retrieve X. It's things like that. Or, it's defending a location. Hi, Sam. It's going. The two games that got selected from Democracy, God Killing Swords and Hell Jumpers, are very weird games without a lot to actually reference. Because, for example, let me just select all of this and we'll drag it up a little bit. Because, we want to do that, we want to hit that. God Killing Swords over here is like so high power fantasy that it's kind of hard to even wrap your head around in some cases. Like, how do you represent a character being able to poke someone and have them die immediately? And Hell Jumpers is, how do you represent horde mode on the table? Because usually the problem is with a lot of these games is the action economy. The reason why, D&D horde mode sucks, the reason why games like this, like, that sucks for these kind of games, is you have to do one of two methods. Individuals who are groups, or mass action economy issues. So it's like you end up with like, yes, here's an orc, except it's not an orc, it's 100 orcs. They are treated the exact same as a single one, but I put 2 zeros at the end of it so you feel cooler. Or you end up with like weird action economy issues where the enemies get like 17 actions to your 1. So it's like, well, fuck. Yeah, we can take them down, but we're just going to get overwhelmed. And nobody likes that. It's not very fun. Even though I can do my very long rant on the definition of fun, which I'll do, I think. But let's see. So how do you represent hordes? How do you represent just a tide of people? Let's look around. Horde mode, TTRPG, survival mode. Yeah, this is a good start. FPS game mode, borderline RPG, pretty good. Witcher 2. I've never seen someone write anything as a 2 like that before, but welcome to Reddit. God, I hate Reddit. Because it just really isn't a thing. It's like Left 4 Dead, like Left 4 Dead TTRPG. The Left 4 Dead RPG. Is it like, are we working with this? Let's see. Cannibal Contagion. All right. My first fully published game. Not really. It's doing something that's 120 pages too long. Rock fucking solid. Of course you do. For gaming purposes. Shibo. Oh, this is a good. All right. Just tell me about. Come on, give me Cannibal Contagion. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's get some mechanics in here. The Cannibal in Charge. Oh. Scenes. Good start. The showdown. Draw cards from the deck. Cool, it's card game. We don't want card game. Fuck card games. .316 Carnage Among the Stars. Yeah, that's a good one, actually. I actually like .316. Do I actually have .316? Let's go on a magic adventure, shall we? Into my folder. Do I actually have... let's see. I have too many games, like, in my folder, actually. Like, I just have... Actually, let's see. Do I have Carnage Among the Stars? I don't actually have Carnage Among the Stars. Here's 316 Carnage Among the Stars. Wow, look everybody, I found it. Thanks, 4chan. Let's see, because this game is really simple. I remember this game being absurdly simple because you literally have 2 abilities, and it's thing of fighting ability, non-fighting ability. A mess, crippled, dead, armor. It's very, I wouldn't say deep. Let's see. This was a better day. Far, far better. Old thing where you can make games which effectively amount to shit posts and people would like it. Let me see. Troop again. Following profile. Use a weakness. If you use a weakness in a mission, and 2, you've not been promoted during development role. Nominate target the PCs. Good news, lowest ranked trooper. Rank above you is promoted or demoted. No, you only gain rank between mission if you wish to spend development role. Promote ad hoc promotions currently in heat and battle. Because then we have higher ranks, colonels, brigadier. Okay, I'm going to have to consult this one. And... we shall consult this one later. So, let me see. War of the Dead is full of campaign like Savage Worlds. Alright. So we're dealing with Savage Worlds. We're dealing with... half of me wants to keep this simple. The other half of me doesn't really want to keep this simple. I'm thinking, though, let's keep this, let's keep this mechanically... actually, resolution simple. Resolution is simple. Mechanics are a bit deeper. I want things to be occurring during this time, and I want people to feel like they are in danger as being in this situation. You are going to die if you do not follow orders, and I want people to be able to tweak things. So I think going with the power armor idea isn't. Which I think the power armor tweaking, weapon tweaking. This game is going to be pretty much entirely based on like enemies being unique. We're going to need a lot of specials. That reminds me, we're going to need specials, and more specials. Okay. Overall, I think we're doing pretty decent. Helljumpers, half of me wants to go like... half of me wants to go simple. Half of me wants to be like, this is like a 2d6 check. Like, abuse that curve. Because we can then, if we have a curve, we kind of understand what we're going on. The other half of me wants to say, fuck that, we're going to go like 1d100. Yeah, actually a d100 system. But make it, again, resolution wise, it's simple, but we can actually play around with it a little bit more. And we can also probably use a little bit of things from Unknown Armies if we go with that. Which, Unknown Armies has a really interesting and cool way of doing damage. Normally, it's, if you do damage, and let's say I roll up, let's say I hit with a 25 to roll to hit you, I do 25 damage to you plus whatever the modifier is. Because I shot you with a gun, and you are dead now. So, I might do that. I don't know. Honestly, this one's one of those games where I want to go down a little bit more gamist simulationist. You know, a little, you know, pretty much, this is going to be a kinetic, you know, kinetic sim over, you know, a narrative game. Like, the narrative doesn't matter. Like, it's going to be about, you are a bunch of dudes in power armor getting deployed on a place to do something. Your power armor is going to get shredded, and you are going to die in there. You are expected to die. Which is effectively going to be, I wonder, Space Hulk Deathwatch? Deathwatch, TTRPG? Did someone make a Space Hulk game? No. No, they didn't. Interesting. I'm gonna actually have to look for that. Alright, boys. So, I think we did this may not seem like a lot. Here's the thing. This may not seem like a lot of stuff going on. This might look like just the notes of a schizophrenic madman. And the answer is, it is the notes of a schizophrenic madman. However, it is important. Because now we have something to work with. God-killing swords is first up on the chopping block. And I think I know how to do it. I think I do. And that's the operative word here. That's the big catch, you could say, about this. I think I know what I'm doing. And I also may have no idea what the hell I'm doing. So I thought someone made a Vermintide on space. Actually, it was, Fat Shark was trying to make... Fat Shark was, Darktide, that's it. They were trying to make a 40k game with effectively the same thing as they were doing in Vermintide. And Vermintide is like my second most played game on Steam. I love Vermintide. I think it's a great fucking game. Shame it's done by Fat Shark and they can't help but fuck it up. But yeah, it looks like this game is effectively going to be the same thing, except I have a sneaking suspicion it is going to be a lot heavier on like range combat over melee combat like Vermintide was. Interesting where it goes. Wait, they have Dan Abnett writing? Why do they have Dan Abnett writing this? Cool, I mean, I like Dan. He wrote some good books. Yeah, it's... Yeah, Vermintide 2, like, that... I sunk too many hours into that game. DLC policy for that game is atrocious. But yeah, no, it'd be kind of something like that. Kind of like, get the same vibe as Vermintide, or a lot of those games, where it's like, you are dropping into a place... don't die. Yeah, Dan is cool. The problem with Dan, like the one big problem with Dan is that Dan likes Dan's writing. And he does have a bad tendency of kind of spiraling off to do his own thing at some points. And nobody else really wants to do anything with his stuff because he's very self-contained. And I like that aspect of it. The Ravner books. See, I loved Ravner. Nobody else likes Ravner. I did. Eisenhorn was really good. Never read Titanic yet, so I'll have to read that, actually. But my friend was really big into... My friend read almost the entire Horus Heresy because that man is... yeah. And I've always said this about, like, Eisenhorn especially. You can present Eisenhorn as a self-contained thing with no prior knowledge of Warhammer 40,000, and you can still enjoy it. You can say, like, I do not enjoy Warhammer 40,000, I think it's stupid. You can hand them Eisenhorn. If they read it, they're going to enjoy it because it's 40k, but it's like, you know, it doesn't really factor in. They say the names, they do everything, but at the end of the day, you can be like, yes, it's, you know, generic space empire of evil or whatever. And here's just an inquisitor man who has psychic powers. Cool, who fucking cares? Weren't they making... Actually, give me a second. Eisenhorn TV show. I remember they were making an Eisenhorn TV show back in the day. What happened to Eisenhorn? Yeah. The TV series have not been yet. Yeah, this has just been in hell for a very long time. I remember that. I would be curious to see where it actually goes. I'm being... Oh no. Yeah. They were saying this is it because 40k doesn't actually... This 40k doesn't even have a TV show. I know that. They had Warhammer Plus, I guess. Right. Remember Warhammer Plus? I remember Warhammer Plus. Maybe I should do that. See, what I've been debating on doing, this is streamer Notepad, not like game design mercenary Notepad. I've been thinking about just taking a day, booting up a shitty little game, playing it in the background while I just rant about things I enjoy. Like, here's my entire rant on, like, Warhammer 40,000. Like, I like 40k. I don't like 40k at the same time. 40k keeps hurting me. Like, I would love to do one on Mass Effect. Yeah, the Mass Effect one would be fun. 40k would be fun. I would... Me talking about Warhammer Fantasy, that would be a fun one. Mostly because Old World's coming out soon, TM, but not... Old World will never come out. I want you all to remember that. Like, Warhammer Old World... Like... This game has been coming out forever. And... I think the entire thing with Age of Sigmar was Age of Sigmar wasn't a mistake. This is a business Notepad. It was not. Age of Sigmar was a good tactical decision from a marketing department standpoint and a legal department standpoint. It was a bad decision, and the way they handled it was poor. They just said, drop old thing, buy new thing, and they didn't really do a great job of that. It was an execution thing that went wrong. And I have people who adore Age of Sigmar, and I am mixed on Age of Sigmar, very mixed. But yeah, let's see. I think I'll call it here for today. We got our basics done. Yeah. Probably on Wednesday, we'll formalize God-killing swords down. We'll turn these schizophrenic notes into something actually functional, and I will probably shitpost on VT about it to make sure that they understand that I for one support our grand leader GGP. Give me my social credit score, please. I'll be John Gina. Please. Please. Though, I still need to contact the Chinese embassy. Like, this is a legitimate thing I want to do. I want to contact the Chinese embassy. And I want to ask them what are the requirements for book publishing in China? Because I cannot actually find anything on that. And I would be curious to see what it is. Because I think am I saying that in the tabletop RPG sphere, China's an untapped market? Hell yeah, I'm saying it's an untapped market, and give me that money. I will be the one to usher in a brand new age of Sino relations by building the greatest Chinese tabletop RPG available and coming off as and masquerading as a Chinese man. That or I'll just have to formulate a brand new Chinese man to become my partner in crime, even though he doesn't exist. I think people are historically afraid of China. And because let me see if I can bring them up. CanCon China board game. Is that how I spell it? I'm gonna CanCon, yeah. This one's actually really interesting. This is CanCon. CanCon is like the biggest Chinese like board gaming convention in the country, and it's hosted in I can't remember the exact city. It's like Qingdong or something, and it's a bunch of board game guys doing stuff, and they're hanging out, playing in the hobby. They're playing some cool games, and they're having to do like the Chinese versions of some of these games, but a lot of them are a lot simpler, or they're using kind of like American ones, and honestly, yeah, I'm actually thinking that would be the case. Like, I think that would be pretty good. And the thing is too, like, I do know apps are phones are a big deal in China, like a huge deal, and kind of mobile markets and things like that. There's a lot of things you can actually do with a phone in tabletop games, and that would be actually, if I had actual like mobile app development ability, I would want to build a game that pretty much everyone puts their phone in the middle and you play it effectively on your phone. Or it's like, you want to make a roll, you tap the little dice on your phone, you roll. Hey, you want to do this, and you can track everything on your phone. I know a few games do that, but I think if you want to just, hey, we're at the library, let's play a game, everyone clicks their phone on, it's right there. I think that would be a big deal for them. I think that would be a really good way of getting people into the market. But people think like, oh, well, it's, oh, the Chinese are so different from us, they're never compatible. All I gotta say is look at this man in the gray shirt down here in the corner. They are more similar to us than like we would like to admit. And I feel a personal, connection with some of these guys. And this isn't a small con either. Like, that's the thing I think is interesting. Like, these are pretty big. And from what I remembered hearing about this is the biggest tabletop game in China is Call of Cthulhu. Unsurprisingly. I'm not surprised in the slightest. Call of Cthulhu is the most popular. And it's mostly played with women, which I thought was like, that's kind of it's an odd thing to think about, but it's like, yeah, the tabletop RPG market there, you could say, the industry is kind of dominated by women, but guys play board games and card games. So I'm like, that's very interesting, and I would find that fascinating, and I would love to see what a Chinese tabletop RPG would look like. I would love to see that. Because we see what, like, the Japanese ones look like. I've seen Czech ones. I've seen Brazilian ones. I'd love to see Chinese. I would like to see a legitimate African one too. That's my thing. I would love to see a legitimate African tabletop RPG, not one of these Afro-inspired bullshit I see here in the States get made by a guy who's never been to Africa. Asian women and sea creatures. Yes. Oh, yes. It's the same thing in Japan, weirdly enough. There's a pretty good split. Like, it's a pretty even split of women and men playing tabletop role-playing games dominated by Call of Cthulhu. I mean, hell, the Mountains of Madness. I do know the Mountains of Madness anime. This one, those two players were girls. I do know two of them were girls, not just guys playing girls. I remember that. Like, they actually had a pretty decent split in this particular one. And I'd be interested to see this. But see, I'm waiting for the day. There's a bunch of South Asian ones. I want to strangle most of them. Yeah, there are. I would say, like, the most unfortunate, like, I'd say, like, Africa gets fucked over quite a bit. And I say Africa gets fucked over quite a bit because you get people from, like, you get people from, like, Oregon, Washington, New York, or California, or Brazil. Brazil loves their Afro-inspired RPGs. I always thought that was a little bit interesting. But they like, just do, like, here, this is African fantasy. I'm like, African fantasy doesn't exist. Yoruba fantasy exists. Ibu fantasy exists. All the, like, very specific culture groups fantasy exists. And I would love to see a specific group, or a specific company or entity, a country even, make it about their own. Like, this is a legitimate game about this. If it exists, I don't know where it is. And it very well may. There may be some kid out there in the middle of fucking Lagos, sitting down at his table right as we speak right now, prepping his game for the weekend, and a game he wrote on his off time about his own culture, his own people, his own fantasy. I'd love to see that. I'd kill to see that, because I think that'd be really fascinating. Southeast Asia, I love you guys to death. You guys get fucked over. Every time I see a game from that, it's usually, I see a lot of Filipino, like, and mind you, a lot of the Filipino RPGs I see, I actually really like. The Filipino games are pretty interesting. I know there are a few by people from the Philippines doing them, and I think that's really cool that we see a lot of those. But again, I would be curious to see, like, I'm curious to see Indonesian stuff, because there's a lot. Like, Indonesia is such a big place with so many little cultures inside of it. I'd be really curious to see, like, what they would do. I would also like to see a lot of, like, Vietnam, Myanmar, Burma. I would like to see those, because those are really underrepresented. Like, I think the problem is when people think, like, Southeast Asia, the first things that come to mind are China. It ain't me. I'm no fortunate son. Jakarta. And then the Philippines. That's the only people down there, apparently. Sorry for everyone in Southeast Asia. You just don't exist. Oh yeah, no, that's an issue. That's an issue as well. Is arbitrary borders are a bitch. And again, I would love to see more specific cultures of, like, kind of like the more specific ones of what you would do, what specific individual groups would do. And will in the future we see that? I think so. I think I think it's become so much easier to get out there now, and I think that since it's so much easier to get out there and publish your own work pretty easily, I'm hoping we see more. We see more like very kind of culturally specific ones where it's not just the majority, or it's not done by someone in California. And I'll even say, like, I'm not perfectly, perfect on Southeast Asia. My focus in school was I was an Americanist, and I mostly did with European and Africans in Africa. Those were my two focuses. Three focuses: America, Europe, and Africa. Those are my three big ones. Mostly Western Europe, to be honest. And like, I would love to see, India. I would also like to see a lot from India, and I do know, like, let's actually. I'm curious now. India TTRPG. What pops up when I type in India TTRPG? Oh no! Themed RPG. Themed. Oh no! Let's see. TTRPG from India. Yeah, no, we just don't see. We see a few down here. Like, I'd be curious. What the hell is this? Dark Yogi? Never seen this. Tab Creations. Okay, where are you guys from? Oh, wow, Manhattan. Wow. Wowzers. Who's doing this one? Tab Creations LLC. Cool. Oh no. Yeah, I'm not seeing two. I mean, I would like to say I feel confident, but I'm not really confident about anything anymore. But like, I think these are like the big regions that I would like to see a little bit more out of. Cultures, yes. Oh yeah. That's one of those big ones. It's like, I do know, like, Russia has quite a few. They have quite a few games that just aren't translated. I'm lucky enough that I know a lot of Eastern Europeans. A few of which are from Russia, who are involved in the scene quite a bit there, and I'd be really fascinated to see, like, what I would love to see a few of them get translated over to US, just for people to, like, hey, look at this. If anything, I might see if I can't convince a few of them to, like, give me, like, a bullshit sample copy for me to, like, go over. And I think I would love to introduce more people to things that aren't traditional. Let's say, I know France, like, hell, I think even the problem, like, actually, I should just say Eastern Europe in general, because there's so much Eastern European stuff we don't see. Western European, we see a lot of, yeah, I think we see a lot of Western, like, there's a lot of Western European games. None of them get translated over rarely, and they're usually very contained. And if we do see them, they are usually, like, already popular. Like, Spain, actually, I know Spain has a lot of them, and I love Spanish RPGs. There's one company that does them. Fascinating stuff. I would love to see more of them get fully translated over. It'll never happen, but I can believe. What would it be? I'd like to see some more South American stuff. But I preface this by saying, South American, with a big old asterisk right there, is South America is interesting because a lot of their development is very. From what I've gathered, there aren't actually many games that are just, like, fully uniquely South American. They usually take from something else, or they've, derived a little bit of influence from them. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's just like, I would like to see, like, what a fully developed South American game would look like. Like, I would love to see a Southeast Asian one, especially. Like, my two big ones that I'd love to see. I'd love to see African and Southeast Asian. Those would be my big two. I don't think... Curious Korea TTRPG. I don't think Korea actually has any. Yeah. Yeah, Korea doesn't look like they have much. I had a conversation with another one of some Korean TTRPG. Entry English translate strategy SRD. Yeah, I think it would be COC immediately getting like double crop insane. Yeah, a lot of JTRPGs there. I'm not surprised. Oh no. Japanese imperialism. We don't like that part. Oh no. Yeah, no, I would like to see a lot more. I'd like to see a lot more kind of yeah, here's the thing. I could say I would like to see more diversity in games. But what I'm going to preface this by saying is I would like to see more people from different cultures and different situations produce more things. And I think here in the West, as a burger eating American, I think we have a very bad tendency of thinking diversity is putting something on the cover or saying something like Into the Motherlands. I think there's like, this is a really super diverse and cool thing, and being like, not really. You're a bunch of Americans who wrote something very American for the purposes of an American audience. And that's like, okay, I don't really, like, it's kind of a bummer. I would like to see more of that. I would like to see less of that and more. What does an actual, like, African developed game look like? From a creators in Africa, what does that look like? No outside bullshit, nothing else. Just tell me what you're gonna make. I would love to see that. But here in the States, we don't believe in that because we don't like other people. Remember that, kids. The U.S. and like West, I'm going to bash the West here a little bit, but it's true. Is here in the West, we do not like anything that doesn't kind of fit inside of our own little bubble, especially tabletop games. We are terrified of anything that is not inside our bubble. There's a reason why, like, the big games are usually the same. Like, D&D owns this goddamn market, not because we feel like it, it's because nobody really wants to change. And with that with the Paizo thing, I've been kind of following that a little bit. That's going to be... that's a disaster area. But I think I'll call it there. So thank you all for coming by. My name is Notepad Anon. On Wednesday, we're going to be starting a little bit more on God-Killing Swords. Not formally, just making sure we're getting all our notes in place and we understand kind of what we're doing. And maybe on Thursday, I'll do a rant or something. If I can find a game that seems interesting to me, I might talk about a franchise I enjoy. Probably be Mass Effect, because God, I love Mass Effect, but God, Mass Effect hates me. And, you know, kind of some of the TRPG stuff behind different franchises I think would be interesting. And this Saturday, we are actually going through the Curious Case of Notepad's folder. So if you can't make that, it's going to be a little bit early for most. I'm going to be doing that at noon EST, Eastern Standard Time. But we're going to be going through a few different games that are going to be really weird. I cut one from what I said I was going to do, just because I'm like, wait a second, there isn't actually a game here. Oh no. But we are going to be... if you want, like, Americans do something. God bless America. I'll let you... I'll end everything off and just... I'll let Let that sleep paralysis demon haunt you for a minute there. All right. I will see you all at a later time. Godspeed, good luck, and catch me on WVT maybe. If you ever need me, type there or find my Discord. It's really not that difficult. Away!